Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Good morning and happy Tuesday.
Let's go.
And happy Lions win week. We have a lot to celebrate in Detroit and a lot to cover on today's Woodward and Main Street. This is your Lions Insider Show on Woodward Sports Network. I'm Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, Terry Foster here to recap a very important Lions win that went down at Ford Field in prime time on Saturday night.
Amazing.
I like how everyone has calmed down. This city was on fire. What?
Yeah.
That's why I guarantee victory. Whenever this city is on fire and say the Lions stink and they're about to disappear, that's when they come through and play some of their better games.
You did. You guaranteed it. Uncle T with the guarantee. You called it on, when did we have it? Tuesday? Sunday? No, Saturday.
Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm. You called it.
I did bitch out a little bit, though.
Yeah.
How so?
Contradicted himself.
I thought the Lions were going to mollywop Denver, and then when it was time for me to pick the score, I kept thinking about the Lions defense, and I picked a close game. But I still picked them to win. Doesn't matter.
That
You did
defense
pick
showed
them
up.
to win. Ooh, yeah.
That defense showed up, so it turned out in the Detroit Lions' favor, that's for sure. They were definitely hot on offense.
Because things were looking pretty pessimistic there for a while. Not just for, Detroit Lions fans, but we had some pessimism here on the show on Saturday. So let's recap that. Let's recap the pessimism and optimism that we gave going into the game. Matt, that you had said that the Broncos were on a hot streak.
Oh, yeah.
And this was their opportunity to sneak into the playoffs, but not against the Lions. That did not happen.
No. The Lions played spoiler once again. I mean, the Lions, this was a huge game for them to get on track, to chase the highest playoff seed possible, make sure they stay at the top of the NFC North, and for Dan Campbell to keep his mentor Sean Payton as far out of the playoffs as possible. And they really showed up. They really that was a statement that they made against the Denver Broncos on Saturday. It was really fun to see maybe their first full complete game, which we'll talk about later. Complete game of the season. We've been waiting.
You might have.
We have been waiting.
Whew, man. Now, Terry, you had said that they needed to stop the Penguin, but that would be pretty hard.
Yes. The Penguin is their quarterback, of course. And when he runs, he looks like a little penguin a little bit, in like a fast motion. And Lions did that.
They did that. And we're not talking about Waddle here, even though he has his own Waddle.
Not that Waddle, but
The Russell Waddle.
Russell Waddle.
Yeah.
The Russell Waddle.
Yeah, it's the new Sierra dance.
They
did a great job.
He runs like a penguin. I don't care what anybody says.
He is. Fortunately, we didn't see him run too much. That was part of that was the defense stepping up. They got pressure on him all day, but never really let him, sneak out of the pocket, scramble, and get spontaneous. And that's sometimes when Russ is at his best. Not just using his legs, but also using his legs to to get out of the pocket and then throw it deep. They really limited that. They did a really great job of rushing, both from the outside, the exterior, and the interior. It was a really great game for
people were worried about Russell Wilson saying he's playing well. I don't think he was playing bad, but I think it was a little overrated that he was playing great. They were getting good field position prior to the Lions game, but the Lions just put the chokehold on them.
Yeah.
And so they had no shot against the Leos.
How much of the performance of Russell Wilson do you think was influenced by the choice of music that was on during the Broncos warm-ups, which was the music of Future?
DJ You Dig. He really did.
Baby Mama.
Yes. I was actually worried when I heard that. I was thinking, remember the Saints? They were playing Detroit Lions highlights before the game, but all the bad highlights over the years, the Justin Tucker field goal, all the different things that have happened. So I was worried we were going to give them a little too much motivation, but Russell Wilson never got
What are your
going.
thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on kind of messing with them in like a personal way? With the music.
I worry before a game. After you win, You can I mean, you know, like the Seahawks, they were wearing the ski masks in their locker room after the second game of the season. Yeah. There's not much we can say after that. But before, I just worry about giving them any more bulletin board material. I don't like it.
Yeah, you know, teams get motivated over the stupidest stuff, and it could be music. And you know, after a win, you hear these guys say, "Well, they disrespected us. They played whatever, and they played highlights of us looking bad." And I took that to heart. I do think athletes are motivated by things like that. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't mess with it. Don't mess with what's going on in their pregame preparations, because you never know when it's going to backfire on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could agree.
Yeah,
there.
like for the Minnesota game coming up, don't have some fat guy coming out there half bald, blowing some horn and making fun of the Minnesota Vikings, whatever that guy is.
The Viking?
He's a Viking.
I was like,
what,
where are you
I was trying
going
to
with
figure
this,
out
Jerry?
what he is. Oh, he's a Viking.
Okay. They won't. We need them to not do that. I don't think they will.
No.
All we need is one win against Minnesota. The Seattle Seahawks did us all a favor last night. Now we just need to take care of business. We can control our own destiny. No need to give Minnesota any more bulletin board material.
Small-minded. Can I call you a name?
Yeah.
You're small-minded.
Tell me why,
The
Terry.
Lions need more than one win. The Lions need 3 wins.
True.
Because now the division is not the thing that you're looking at now. You're looking at the 2 seed, possibly the number 1. I'm not thinking about the 1 seed, but at least the 2 seed, because you want Philadelphia and Dallas. That should be your focus now about who you're going to play in the playoffs after you get the first round wild card game. You want to play Dallas, particularly at Ford Field.
Yes.
I mean, people say you cannot beat the Dallas Cowboys. You can't beat them at AT&T Stadium, although the Lions need to win this game coming up. So I think they need 3 wins, not 1. Because to me, the division is like, who cares now? You've got bigger fish to fry. Since you're in it, you may as well go and grab it. Like I was goofing around online, which I shouldn't do late at night. There's some Lion fans were pissed that Seattle won, and they said, well, the Lions, it prevented them from clinching a playoff berth. Well, you know, the New York Times has a playoff probability. They have the Lions at 99% to win the playoffs. So you definitely in. All you gotta do is win your next game. But to me, when I looked at it, I'm like, look up ahead, not behind.
Yeah.
Look at Philadelphia. Look at San Francisco. You probably can't get. Look at Dallas. Philadelphia and Dallas are vulnerable.
Yes.
Philadelphia's lost 3 in a row. Dallas is 4-3 on the road. No, they're 3-4 on the road. They suck on the road.
Yeah. They're good at home.
But at home, you're gonna get that 50-point butt whipping when you got to play them at AT&T. So I'm looking ahead. I'm doing what a football coach is not supposed to do, look ahead. But I'm saying, if the Lions are in this, you may as well play Philly and Dallas at Ford Field. You got a shot.
Yeah.
And you're looking ahead to the 4th segment, because we're really going to get into that later into the show, a deep dive. Let's cover the optimistic next. So kind of the consensus was that Denver's run defense stinks, and I think we predicted that pretty well. Hey?
Yeah, the Lions, they did establish a run. We were calling for it. We want to see another big game out of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and that's exactly what we saw. They actually started off the game, the Lions, passing the ball. They were targeting Jamison Williams earlier in that game, but that opened up the field so much, not just for receivers later in the game, open up the middle of the field, but also that running game. They had a really, really good balance between Gibbs and Montgomery. It was working. That offense altogether was firing on all cylinders, but they got to build off that play-action pass. With the run game, the offensive line playing well, that really opened up everything that the Lions could do. It was great. It was great to see. What do you think, Terry?
I was worried at first when they kept passing the ball early. I'm like, hey, fellas, they can't stop the run. This is what you do best. So what are you doing here? So, but then they went and mixed it up a little bit more, and then there was that balance that Denver couldn't deal with. So I was worried about the Lions at first, but I think they showed. I think Laporta said it. We felt we could do anything.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
They clowned them, man.
Yeah. Pound the rock, control the clock, I believe is what you said.
Yes. And that's what but they did that, but they put a little
And then
funk
some.
into that.
Yeah.
They said we're going to be balanced.
They won that possession battle. It was 32 minutes. It was just under 32 minutes for the Lions, just over 28 minutes for the Broncos. Then you think the Lions, that first quarter, they started off 3 possessions, 3 punts, punt, punt, punt. But then after that, they got rolling. It was 5 touchdowns in a row. Touchdown, 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 then another punt and another touchdown. So once they got in that rhythm, they what Sam Laporta also said, they were marrying the run and the pass so well. Once they got going, there really wasn't anything stopping the offense.
Sometimes you got to feel somebody out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a boxing match. You like, bobbing and weaving and looking at the guy and throwing some punches here and there. I think that's what the Lions did. And then once they saw Denver flinch, they're like, oh, we're going to take over this game.
Yeah.
We'll punk them.
Yeah, and that's where their defense, they held so tough. While the Lions were stuck punting the ball in that first quarter, the defense stepped up. I think on the game, they held the Broncos offense to 3 yards per carry. And we talked about Russell Wilson wanting to get into the play action pass. They wanted to establish that run without Ali McNeil playing for the Lions, and we didn't let them do that. And that contained everything for the Broncos. They weren't able to hit Sutton and Judy more than 1 or 2 times that game. So both sides, it was complimentary football.
I don't want to say
at its
anything.
best.
I don't want to be a snotty ass over here.
Okay.
But who made an early play? Isaiah Buggs. I don't get what's going on with the Lions and Isaiah Buggs. He must have smacked somebody. He must have been late for some meetings. He must have told Dan Campbell to kiss his ass. Something is going on that we don't know about. This is not a he can't play thing where he's a healthy scratch this week and he plays the next week. But let's let the man go.
When he's on the field, good things happen. I think every game he's been on, he's made something happen in the game, and I believe it's been a win. If not every game he's played, every game but one.
Yeah.
Bugs. That one, we thought he was going to take it back to the house when he picked up it was the fumble on the Iffy Melifonwu strip sack on Russell Wilson. Bugs was rumbling and tumbling down.
God bless him. I love the guy. He's a little bit too fat to take it to the house.
Iffy was trying to get him to pitch. I don't know if you watch it back, you'll see Iffy. First off, he made an incredibly athletic play after sacking Russell Wilson. He got up in like a split second off the ground, but then he ran up to Bugs, and you could see him like try to pitch the ball, and that's what he said in the locker room after the game. He said, "I'd take it to the house if he did it," but big man was rumbling, and he was there to block for him.
You don't want a fat guy pitching the ball.
That's also probably true.
He could throw it anywhere.
That's
So
a good
they
play.
didn't
That
need a
could
turnover right there.
yeah,
Just
good
what
play
you
could have
can get.
turned sour fast.
So I have a really cool story that I want to share as we wrap up this segment that I had seen online a little bit more in my neck of the woods. Came across this story. So Oxford Community Schools had reached out to the director of community relations with the Detroit Lions and asked if they had potentially 2 tickets to give to the schools that they could host a giveaway for the students within the community and try and bolster up some Christmas spirit. Obviously, they've had a lot of tragedy in their community recently over the last couple of years. And so what they did is the Lions gave them 2 tickets. They were really touched by everything that the community's gone through and wanted to help them in any way possible. They gave them 2 tickets for this past game on Saturday night. And what they did was teachers were all encouraged to put a student's name in the hat that you think has really gone above and beyond for their community. And so these teachers all put these names in a hat, and I think that they ended up with 1,027 names entered into the Google spinner. So it went on and on and on and on and on. And the winner of the tickets was a student named Brody. And Brody was the individual that has been able to wear Tate's number 42 this past season. Wow. So he's been one of the first people to wear the number after the passing of Tate. And they now have a 42 strong program at the schools where you are paired with like a mentor mentee, and part of the reason he got this honor was because of his participation in this mentorship program. And him and his dad went to the game, and the Lions went for that last touchdown, and the ending score was 42 for the Lions. And I do not believe that that is by chance. So
That's special.
they really punched it in for that last one, and obviously that was like, should they have gone for it? And I think that story alone, literally even telling it right now, leaves me with chills. The fact that it ended up with 42, and he was able to be there for the game.
There's magic in sports. I think Dan Campbell had to explain to the Broncos why he did that, and so they were fine with it. So, but the other thing, backstory on your backstory, is the former public relations director for the Lions is from Oxford.
Look at that.
So
I
they
didn't
had
know
that relationship going on for years and years.
That's awesome. It's really cool. It's more than sports, and I think that's one of those great moments to hold on to, especially in this holiday season.
Definitely.
I got the holiday spirit.
Yes, you do.
Merry Christmas. I'm not gonna let you outdo me for Christmas now.
He stepped up his game. I outperformed him during one episode, and he had to turn it around.
I was upset. In fact, this shirt here, I ran into it, $8.
What a steal.
Chris
That's
Moose?
what I said.
And it matches your hat, Terry.
KG, any chance
know.
we can get a shot? There we go.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. Merry Christmas.
Hold up the shirt there, Terry. Let's see. Oh yeah. Merry Christmas. Oh yeah.
Love it.
Love it.
I got this too, because not only for the holiday, but I love moose. Like I want to see a moose in the wild, and but then people tell me you really don't want to see that because they're mean.
You just got to come out with me in Ann Arbor on a Friday night.
They got moose in Ann Arbor?
Certain, kind of.
Nah, I don't want a big girl. I'm talking about a real moose. You talking about them big girls? Big thick thighs.
You can speculate
I don't
all
want
you
that kind of
want.
moose.
Moving on.
We're going to move on to the next segment here, so stick with us and we will cover game balls next.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot off the press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Welcome back. We are here on the corner of Woodward and Main Street to cover a Lions win. This is your Lions Insider Show on Woodward Sports Network. I'm Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, Terry Foster. Thanks to the one, the only Les Stanford for making these shows happen. But it's time to get into our game balls of the Lions win on Saturday night over the Broncos. So, Matt, I will let you kick it off here. Because Iffy was not playing so iffy on Saturday night.
No, Iffy, he came out and really showed us something special. He was the game changer, I think, for this team. He lit up this defense from the start. He had some great plays on Russell Wilson. I got his stats here somewhere. Iffy, 9 tackles, one of which I believe was on special teams, a sack, 2 QB hits, 1 tackle for loss, 2 passes defensed, and 1 forced fumble. He was everywhere. And this is a guy who's been waiting in the wings. He came from the Jared Goff trade. He was one of the draft picks that they were able to select with the Rams picks from that trade. And he's been hurt the last couple of years. He just hasn't been on the field, hasn't been healthy enough to play. But he's gotten healthy, and Aaron Glenn's giving him his chance. We haven't seen Tracy Walker, unfortunately, the last couple of weeks. But if he's out there and he's really become a difference maker at 6'3", what's he, about 230, 235 pounds, a really good athlete. He's one of those guys that we needed someone to step up, someone in the secondary especially. And he really came in and made a difference, both in the secondary and rushing the quarterback. It was one of those things, I think, for the defense to play as well as they did, Iffy was a huge, huge part of that.
Now, do you think this is just the start for him?
I think so. I think so. It's actually going to be interesting to see what they do when C.D. Deuce comes back. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the artist formerly known as C.J. Gardner-Johnson. all of a sudden there's a logjam again at the safety position. So
Which I don't think a couple of weeks ago we thought would ever happen.
no, and you pair that with the secondary. I know we're talking game balls, but the secondary as a whole stepped up. Cam Sutton played great. Khalil Dorsey and Kendall Vildor, they stepped up in a huge way. Both made big plays throughout the game. So Iffy led the way, but it was a full defensive effort. And I hope it continues, both for Iffy and a lot of these players who are getting their opportunities.
Finally. No, when you talk to line coaches, the thing they like about Iffy, strong, long, tall, and can cover a lot of space. So when you get somebody like that, I mean, that's an asset. His only problem, can't stay healthy. So, I mean, he tore it up against Denver. Let's see how long he's on the field.
Hopefully longer than just that game. And he's looking healthy coming off of the game.
Yeah.
So I think positives all around.
Yeah. No, it's especially going into a playoff race. Depth is nothing you ever want to shy away from. So
Yeah.
even if he comes off the bench, or even if we have an elite backup in Brian Branch or Tracy Walker, good things are happening. So great to see him step up.
Absolutely love to see it. All right, moving on next to my game ball. I went with Sam Laporta. No
Sammy.
surprise there. If we had a game ball segment after this game without him on the board, I think we would be doing ourselves a huge injustice because, recorded 5 receptions on 6 targets, 56 yards, and 3 touchdowns in Saturday's win. So, I mean, hello, he's a rookie. Hello, he's a tight end rookie.
I
What?
know. You know what? If we didn't have Sam Laporta up for a game ball on any week, that would have meant that somebody kidnapped us, body snatched us, and like 3 people who look like us came over and did the show. So if you see one of these shows and Sam Laporta is not up there, that means
Help.
we're not actually here. Somebody else kidnapped us.
Send out a search team
Right.
to look for us, please.
And come find me first.
He's the new
I'm
Brian Branch. Brian Branch was on this screen the first couple weeks of the season. Now it's Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
It's a pretty special season, Terry. Never seen. You were talking about Charlie Sanders before we came on air as maybe the best tight end with the Lions that you've seen until now.
But Charlie played at a time where they didn't pass as much, so he didn't put up gaudy stats. He was a great blocker. He did what tight ends did well back then. But Sam Laporta, if he can put together like 3 years of this, he would be the greatest Lions tight end in history.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's no doubt about that. I don't think anyone can argue you on that.
His 9 touchdown receptions, how about this? Not only set the team rookie record for tight end position, but any position. As a rookie tight end, that's impressive.
Very impressive.
The only rookie tight end in NFL history to produce at least 70 receptions, 700 receiving yards, and 9 receiving touchdowns in a season. We have 3 games left.
And has played and stayed so humble throughout this entire thing. I mean, afterwards,
the
media is
nicest guy.
praising him, and he's like, I couldn't have done it. I'm not the only one out there. This is not happening just because of me. It's because of every single other person that was out there, and that is why they drafted him. Obviously, they saw that he had the football IQ and he was going to be able to show out on the field very well, but also because of who he is as an individual and how he contributes to this team as a man.
Right. He has that Iowa all shucks. All shucks. I didn't do anything. I'm just from Iowa, just old Iowa boy trying to do my best I can.
He's already doubled his tight end total that he had at Iowa in his rookie season, all 4 years at Iowa. Special. That Iowa tight ends, man.
Now, Mr. Terry Foster, who was your game ball?
Jared Goff.
Oh,
Now,
you don't say.
Not just because he threw for 5 touchdowns, but mostly because he told Lion fans, shove it up my ass. Because this is a guy that, people last week were saying, he's not the right guy. He's got a noodle for an arm. Even I was like, he's a little flirt ball. He shut everybody up. Keep my name out of your mouth. It's basically what he said.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see that. I like when athletes are able to shut an entire community up, and that's what he did. But let's talk about the help that he got. Offensive line was healthy.
Yeah.
Nobody touched him. The running game was rolling. The Lions finally said, we're gonna let Noodle Arm go downfield to J-Mo. So everything was working for him. But still, when you pass for 5 touchdowns and tell an entire community to kiss my ass, game ball.
Game ball.
Just like that.
Rightfully
Yep.
so.
Game, set, match.
Yeah, when that offensive line was healthy, and that's a huge help to Jared Goff in that run game, their play action game. It's massive. But when those things are in place for Jared Goff, he's as good as anyone at sort of dissecting the defense, picking apart a defense, delivering the ball accurately. So it was all that came together, and Jared Goff delivered when he had those pieces working.
And how do you predict that the offensive line is going to look this week going into Sunday's game?
If they're healthy, they'll look great. They'll be one of the top 1 or 2 offensive lines in the league. If they're missing 1 or 2 guys, they're closer to 10, 11, 12 in the league, and it's a completely different offense. So if they're healthy, they're going to look great.
You know what? It seems like the Lions are being put together by a toe. The Frank Ragnow toe, when it's good, the Lions are good. When that toe is throbbing, they're not as good as the team.
Speaking of, did you hear Frank Ragnow? He had missed the game before against Chicago. We're all speculating. He had his ankle, his toe, his ankle, his neck, his
back, and
he had a meniscus surgery. He had to repair his knee, and in a week and a half he was back, and as important as anybody on that offensive line.
I mean, between him and Anzalone, I'm like, come on, guys. We all need to buck up because I stubbed my toe on a coffee table and I feel like I'm out for a couple of days. Meanwhile, they're having surgery
That's why
in their
when
back
people
end.
call NFL players wimps, I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. Get away from me.
Yeah.
They're the toughest human beings out there. The medical world, recovery from these injuries. Aaron Rodgers is about to come back from an Achilles. What's going on?
Aaron Rodgers is not coming back from an Achilles. Stop buying the hype. He's not coming back. There's no
To play
need
for
for
a
him to
team
come
that's
back.
not going to be playing in the playoffs.
Right. He
That
could
is
be out
true.
there playing by himself, but he doesn't need to be out there.
We have to talk about one more player that could be coming back because we can't talk about Jared Goff this week without talking also about CD Deuce taking to Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, to defend his quarterback
CD.
because he is not a game manager and he wants everybody to know it. What do you take to him still stepping up for his quarterback on X, even though he's not currently playing?
Do you want to take this first, Terry?
This is what he does.
Yeah.
He is a wild guy. You want to defend your teammates. A lot of times a guy like him, I'm not calling him CD Deuce. I just refuse to do that. But when you see a teammate under attack, you want to defend him. And I think he went a little too far by saying he's not a game manager. Game manager is not a 4-letter word.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
People are game managers. And you know what a game manager does? He manages to win games, and that's all that matters. So, but I understand him. He's a very vocal guy. He says whatever he wants, however he wants, in a very entertaining way. So I like that. And the Lions need that spice. And now and then you got to step up for a teammate.
Yeah. I love it. That's not something he has to do. He's on a 1-year contract. He's only played 2 games with this team, but he seems as bought into this city, to this team, to this playoff run as anybody. So
Yeah.
I just like the fact that he did stick up for his quarterback, whether it was needed or not, whether game manager is a bad thing or not. I think I don't see it as a horrible thing. And Jared Goff, if he's a game manager, he's one of the best in the league at being a game manager. So that's fine. Manage us to 10-4. I'll take that any day, any season. I'll take that in the first 14 games.
I'm going to manage to take us into segment 3 here, so
see what you did
stick
there.
with us
Nice.
and we'll be right back.
Nice.
I can't believe she managed to do that.
At work and at home. We're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
Welcome back. This is Woodward and Main Street, your Lions Insider Show on Woodward Sports Network, brought to you by Les Stanford. Thanks so much, Les Stanford, for making this show possible. I'm Gabrielle D. Phillips. Alongside me, as always, the wonderful Matt Broder and Terry Foster. To recap the Lions' win against the Broncos, we're going to get into a little coaching review here. We've covered the game. We've covered the players. Now let's get into the coaching. And my first question, my overarching question that I have to know, was this the vision that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have had all along? Is the painting finally finished? Is the roast fully cooked? Is the film fully developed now? That's it. Those are all my
I hope not.
follow-ups.
This cannot be the Lions' crowning glory. There's still work to be done, but this was a nice game for them. But they still have work to do. I'm sure they'll admit that. But I think they have to be better against Dallas in particular. And they have to take care of business against Minnesota's not good. I don't care what anybody says. They don't have a quarterback. They may as well have me at quarterback.
I'd love to see that.
We might see 3 different quarterbacks in the next.
That's
if
true.
we were to play them 3 times in a row, they could throw out just about anybody out there. I do think. This isn't the finished product, but I do think this is the vision. How they're using David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs together, how they've incorporated Sam Laporta into the offense so early, not just as a receiving tight end, but he's a damn good blocker as a rookie. I do believe this was the vision. Jahmyr Gibbs was the running back to talk about from this Denver Broncos game, but I believe he only had, it was either 9 or 11 carries. David Montgomery had 17. So they're finding this balance between the ground and pound sort of workhorse back David Montgomery, who's no slouch of his own. He can break off a run and he's got some moves. But then you got Jahmyr Gibbs, the balance, the polarization of Jahmyr Gibbs with Montgomery, how he can explode not only through the line of scrimmage, but once he gets there, bounce it to the outside and take it to the house on any given play. I do think this was the vision, and it's a vision that's only going to get better as these two get better together behind this offensive line.
No, you're absolutely right. But you know who was pissed off about this whole thing
And who was
before
that?
this season began? This guy right here. I'm like, why didn't you fools take Jalen Carter? Now the question is, would you rather have Jalen Carter or Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta, who's always on that game ball guy?
I
So,
don't think that's a question.
you know, once again, I stopped questioning Brad Holmes because the guy knows what he's doing. And so I'd rather have these two guys who are influential on offense than Jalen Carter. I'll admit that now, but I was mad before the season began.
Would you rather have one of them? Would you still, if you didn't get the second one, would you still get Jahmyr Gibbs over Jalen Carter or Sam Laporta over Jalen Carter? I'm taking those over Jalen Carter still.
I'm there with you.
Despite the fact that the defensive tackle position, that is like the biggest need of this team.
I would take Jalen Carter over one of them
Okay.
because we wouldn't be talking about the lack of a pass rush because I think he would push the pocket inside where Hutchinson would have more sacks. And so, yeah, I would take him over one of those guys,
Fair.
but not both.
Fair.
Good to know. So, Terry, I have a follow-up for you because Dan Campbell said that this was the same Lions team this last month that they were at the beginning of the season, and I know you disagree with that. Why?
Totally disagree with it because, first of all, I have a philosophy about the NFL. An NFL team is 3 different teams during the course of a season. You're not the team in training camp that you are in week 4. And what happens in the NFL is there's people get injured and they come back and they're not the same. The mentality changes. The Lions' mentality, even though it's the same people, the mentality that they had the last 3-4 weeks wasn't the same. There were dead ball penalties. There were injuries. There were too many turnovers. And a lot of what I saw with the Lions was mental. They weren't mentally the same team. Yes, physically, yes, Jared Goff has been there for all 15 games, and a lot of guys have been out there, but there was a mental collapse. And so they weren't the same team. But they came back against Denver and said, okay, here's where we were at the beginning of the season. Let's get back to that.
Yeah.
So I think this has been 3 different Lion teams. So I don't agree with what he was saying.
You got to evolve. You're not going to go back to exactly what you were previously. But what I do think that they went back to, and it's something that was preached all at the beginning of the season, is going back to the basics. And you've heard Dan Campbell mention this several times, and it was mentioned obviously going into this last week. And you got to get back to the basics. We got to focus on what we control. We got to focus on the little things that you have to fix, like keeping your hands on the ball. And when you do that, they play pretty decent football.
Win the turnover battle, win the time of possession battle. They did that. Those are the basics. And it's a lot easier when you have that offensive line on the offensive end. When you have that offensive line to run behind, it makes it that much easier when you know that they're going to pick up their responsibilities. When David Montgomery can just run, you have a call, you just run right through your gap because you know Penei Sewell and Graham Glasgow are just going to pave the way for you. Or Frank Ragnow is going to pull and help lead the way for a run. It's Jahmyr Gibbs talked about it after the game, how easy it is. And he said it in a respectful way to the other team, just how easy it is to run behind this offensive line. You don't have to worry about much. Just get the ball, get to your gap, and go. And then they can make their decision. So, yeah, it's a mentality thing that this offensive line really brings to this team. And they showed it. They showed it on Saturday against Denver.
And human nature is when things are going real well, you relax a little bit. And I think that's where the mental part came in. The Lions were like, okay, you know what? We can't be beat. Oh, yes, you can.
Dan Campbell came out of this looking good against his mentor, Sean Payton, who was seen on the sideline. You see him kind of chewing out Russell Wilson there, and I think it was the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
That
It's a little
is,
spicy on their sidelines.
Dan Campbell won this matchup, and he's got to feel pretty good about himself at the office this week.
But I don't think he's going to show it all too much.
Oh, no, he won't.
No.
He won't. He'll feel it, though.
Oh, for sure.
Sean Payton's feeling it. He's having a tough week. I don't envy those Denver Broncos players.
Yeah, you know, Dan Campbell probably had a little sifter of brandy or something and sipped on it in private. You know, he was satisfied.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? He didn't try to be Sean Payton. He was Dan Campbell, and that was the main thing right there. And some people were fearful of him. Okay, I got to do all these trick plays. I got to funk up the game or whatever and do. No, he was just Dan Campbell. He played it straight. But he won the game prior to the game. Sometimes you win an NFL game because your preparation was better during the week. You knew what position to put players in. You knew how to motivate them the right way. So this was a game that Dan Campbell didn't have to win on game day. He'd already won it prior to game day, which is what you want to do. But you can't do that all the time, but they did it this time.
Now, the golden question.
Oh, here it comes.
Matt Broder. Have the Detroit Lions finally played a full game of football?
Yeah, I think this was their first complete game. Things weren't perfect. The third quarter they did some good things, but they still have some things to clean up. But when you talk about the offense, defense, and special teams all playing well together, all playing complementary football, this has to be the first one. Even Michael Badgley, the Money Badger, the new kicker, didn't have to be put in a field goal situation, but he was knocking them through in warm-ups. I think I saw a 56-yarder he nailed, made all his extra points. So special teams didn't get in the way. So I'll take that. Complete game.
You know what? If this man didn't say it was a complete game, I was going to go up and punch him. Punch him right in the nose.
Oh, right.
It
Have
was
myself a
clear.
little Donnybrook here.
Looking like Rudolph.
Yeah.
Because we're in the Christmas spirit.
You be the
Protect
you be
yourself.
the red-nosed reindeer over there.
Yeah. Let's talk more about my nose.
Get your arms up. Get your arms up. Protect your face.
I got you. Like Tommy Hearns. Yeah. No, it was a complete. I mean, I'm not wrong, right? It was a complete game. Yeah.
It
You're
was as
correct.
complete as you can be in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's as complete as we're going to get for that segment. So stick with us here, and we're going to be back to close out the show.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White and Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
Welcome back to another episode of Woodward and Main Street, your Lions Insider Show here on Woodward Sports Network. I'm Gabrielle D. Phillips. Alongside me, as always, Matt Broder, Terry Foster. Good morning, gentlemen. It's been a morning so far.
Yes.
We've managed to get through this show in good shape.
We are show managers over here.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad about
And there's
that.
nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah, Cam Newton can say all he wants about our managing of this show.
Please go right ahead and say some stuff about our managing of this show, because that will be great for
I love
our
Cam Newton,
show.
by the way. He was one of my favorite players when he was playing. His resume, we look back on his resume, although he says some pretty crazy things now. Mm-hmm. I like Cam.
You know what I like? Talking about what's ahead for the Lions, because
Yes.
it's a positive road ahead. A lot of positivity to come. We're at a very different point at the end of this season than the Lions have ever been in before, I think I would say. Have you ever seen the Lions in this position before, Terry?
Never.
There we go.
Ever.
Nah,
Because
It's a
usually
unique
when they
position.
make the playoffs, they back in. Not this year.
Not this year.
They're knocking that front door down.
So what can we expect from the Lions with these upcoming weeks? Let's kind of break it down. Break it down, because last night we got some more information. We got a better idea of the picture of what is to come. This Vikings game means a little bit more this upcoming weekend. So, looking at the last 2 weeks of the season, let's say they do beat the Vikings this week. The Lions clinch the playoffs. Will they rest their starters in Dallas or in that last week against the Vikings again?
Hell no. They better not. There's so much here. Do you know what this means?
No, can't say
Focus.
I do. Okay.
Focus. They need to focus on sweeping Minnesota, who sucks. But you still got to respect them, but you got to beat Minnesota. And then this whole season could come down to Lions trying to be the first team to win in Dallas or Arlington, where the hell they play. That could be huge, because if you're the Detroit Lions, what did we talk about last week? Oh my God, Jared Goff, he can't perform on the cold. He can't perform outside. I worry about him there. We don't hear that stuff at Ford Field. The Lions are a different team at Ford Field. Dallas is a different team at home and on the road. Philadelphia can't win a game all of a sudden. So if you're the Lions, if you clinch the division against Minnesota, that's beautiful, wonderful, congratulations. But should you rest players? Hell no, because you still have a bigger goal in front of you. You still have a tiny shot at the number 1 seed. I'm not counting on that. But then your focus should be, how does this team get the number 2 seed? And if you get that, you're going to be at home the rest of the playoffs until you play San Francisco.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. You got to go. You got to take this shot to get the highest seed possible, to guarantee as many home games at Ford Field as possible. And you get that 2nd seed, that guarantees that. And that 1 seed is still a possibility. Weirder things have happened, especially you look at San Francisco, and their problems in the playoffs last year were injury related. So maybe they start resting their players. You never know. But you got to go get that 2nd seed. You got to host Dallas or Philadelphia, whoever that is, in the 2nd round, assuming you get there. Hopefully you get there at home.
Now, you can smell it. I mean, you can smell that number 2 seed.
Whew.
I mean, it's right there. It's just like mama's home cooking. You walk into the house, it's like, damn, what mama cooking today? It sure smell good.
Pecan
you
pie.
can smell that second seed.
Sweet potato pie.
Well, pecan pie and sweet potato pie both work. And they're
It's
both
not
delicious.
pumpkin. We've been over this.
Yeah.
Okay, no
We've been
pumpkin
down
pie,
this.
please.
Okay, so Lions, let's say they win this game in Minnesota and then they beat the Cowboys. Do you still expect them to go all out against the Vikings again?
Yes, because you have to assume that Philadelphia and Dallas are going to win the last game of the
Okay.
season. So you can't let up. This is not a 16-game season. It's going to be a 17-game season because you put yourself in position to smell the pecan and the sweet potato pie.
Do we see Teddy Bridgewater go in at all in these next 3 games?
Only to take a knee at the end of the game in victory formation. Once again, Jared Goff is not a bad quarterback. Jared Goff gives you your best chance to win. You only see Teddy Bridgewater if it's the fourth quarter and they're up 35-7.
Yeah.
All right.
Other than that, it's all balls to the wall.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
I love it. I love that mentality. So previewing our next episode, which will be on Sunday, and you can tune in at 8 a.m., what do the Lions have to do to get a win against the Vikings to kick off this last 3-game run?
I got that easy. It's easy.
Okay.
Just take them serious. The only thing I fear from the Lions is that they'll look at Minnesota and say, this team is jive. And then they play down to their competition.
True.
But if they take them not seriously, but semi-seriously, they should be able to get through that game.
Yeah.
I'm flipping the script on you here.
Uh-oh.
What do the Lions have to do to pull out a win against the Cowboys on their own turf?
Oh, wow. Wow. They
That's a little maybe a bit tougher of a question than what
Yeah,
Terry got.
that is. I mean, they need to be healthy in that game, and I think they need to establish a run again, just like they did against the Broncos. We saw the Cowboys' run defense exposed a little bit this week, actually a lot of it against the Bills and James
Just
Cook.
a little bit.
Yeah,
Come on,
so
bro.
as good as Micah Parsons has been on the edge, as good as Deron Blaine has been filling in for Diggs in the secondary, we got the number 1 running back duo in the league, and that's something that can neutralize what Dallas does good on defense. So go get them. Let those two have a big, big day.
Right. And Lions fans,
Lions
y'all need to buy some tickets. See if you can get those tickets from those Cowboy fans, which is going to be very difficult because there's only one sport in Dallas, and that's the
true.
Cowboys.
That's a really good point. It'll be interesting to see what that stadium looks like.
Yeah, I don't think they can take over AT&T Stadium, but it is big. It's like almost 100,000. So there's going to be a few Lion fans there. But ladies and gentlemen, get your tickets. Try to make that Ford Field, Southwest or whatever it would be. That would be huge because the Cowboys have a huge home field advantage, obviously. But you know what? Very few teams go unbeaten at home. And so that might be something on the Lions side. The Cowboys are 7-0 at home. So they got to lose one, and it's going to have to be against the Lions.
Yeah, catch them off guard.
Mm-hmm.
There you have it. I'm going to catch you all off guard right now because the show's over. Hate to say it, but the show has come to its conclusion. We'll be back here on Sunday at 8 a.m. to get you ready for the Lions taking on the Vikings, or as Terry calls them, the fat man blowing a horn.
Yeah, don't make fun of the fat man blowing the horn.
That will not go your way. Thanks so much for tuning in this morning. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you back here on Sunday. I'm Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, Terry Foster. We are Woodward and Main Street.
Damn.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune in to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.